You're not paranoid, you tell yourself. You're attentive. You're loyal. You're protecting what you love, but that's not what it feels like, is it? You feel it tightening around your chest. That terrible slow fear that grows without proof. The fear that love is already slipping away, even as they say they're not going anywhere. So you start needing more words, more reassurance, more signs. Tell me again. Show me again. Prove it again. You're not asking for much, just everything, all the time. And when they hesitate or get tired or just forget to say the right thing at the right time, you spiral. Why didn't they think of me? Who are they talking to instead? Is there someone better? And then comes the voice in your head that's both terrified and furious. I knew it, but nothing has even happened. They've done nothing wrong. They're just being human, flawed, distracted, tired, busy. But to you, it feels like betrayal. Like they've pulled the rug out from under your entire world just by being normal. Because somewhere deep down, you don't believe love can be safe. You don't believe someone will stay unless you make it impossible for them to leave. So you start building cages, but you call them boundaries. You start making rules, but you call it honesty. You start reading every pause like a threat. And still, you think this is love because they mean everything to you. And if they ever left, you're not sure who you'd be. So you watch, you wait, you plan for the heartbreak before it even arrives. And without knowing it, you've already started preparing your defense against the person you love, even if they've done nothing wrong. It doesn't happen in one moment. There's no explosion, no grand confrontation, just a slow shift. You used to laugh freely. You used to kiss them without hesitation. Now, you pause. You begin to catalog every detail of their life, not to share their joy, but to make sure nothing has changed. You create a mental logbook of their habits, their patterns, their friends, their phrasing. Their good morning used to feel like sunlight. Now, you dissect it. Was it shorter than yesterday? Did they say it later than usual? Did they forget an emoji? You're not trying to hurt them. You love them. You just want to understand. You just want to be sure. You just want to know. So you start asking more questions. Where were you? Who were you with? Why didn't you text back sooner? At first, it sounds like concern, then like checking in, then like doubt, then like a slow interrogation. They laugh it off. They say you're being silly. They reassure you, and for a while it works, but the reassurance never sticks. It fades because the fear returns, and with it, the rules. You start setting them silently. If they love me, they'll respond within 5 minutes. If they care, they'll cancel that plan. If I'm important, they won't need space. They don't know the rules. You never told them, but you hold them to it anyway. And when they break one without ever knowing it existed, your stomach sinks like betrayal. Because in your mind, love means certainty. Love means control. So you escalate. You check their phone when they sleep. You scroll through their comments. You listen for tone changes. You stare at them from across the room, watching for some flicker of distance. You become a detective, but not one looking for truth, one trying to catch a crime before it even happens. They haven't done anything, but your mind can't rest. So it builds stories. It fills in gaps. It writes entire infidelities based on a glance or a pause. You ask yourself, am I going crazy? But it doesn't feel like madness. It feels like prevention, like protection, like you're just trying to keep love alive, even if that means suffocating it. You stop trusting their words. You trust your gut instead, and your gut is sick with fear. They say they love you, fine, but do they look like they mean it? Do they sound tired when they say it? Were they distracted when they typed it? You watch them become more cautious around you, more careful. They start hesitating before they speak. They hide small things not because they're cheating, but because they're afraid you'll think they are. They start lying to protect you. And that's when it happens. You catch them in a lie, a small one, an unnecessary one, and you lose it. Why did you hide this? What else are you hiding? How long has this been going on? They try to explain. They tell you they didn't want to upset you, that it wasn't a big deal, that they were scared of your reaction. But now you feel justified. They were hiding something. You were right to doubt. And from now on, you won't make the same mistake. From now on, you'll watch closer. You start demanding access, passwords, location sharing, full transparency. You don't even think it's toxic. You think it's fair. You say things like, if you've got nothing to hide, why is it a problem? If you love me, you'd want me to feel safe. If this relationship matters, you'll do this for me. And sometimes they give in. Sometimes they hand you the password. Sometimes they cancel the night out. Sometimes they text every hour just so you won't worry. You feel a moment of peace, like you've solved the equation, but that peace never lasts because it's not about what they do. It's about what they might do. And your imagination is never satisfied. You've built a prison, not for them, for you, because now you can't stop watching. You can't rest. You can't trust. And even when they stay faithful, even when they do everything right, your mind whispers, what if it's all a performance? You've made their love conditional, contingent, transactional, and they feel it. They love you, but they feel controlled, monitored, exhausted. And one day, they say something small, something innocent, something they didn't mean to be dangerous. And your entire world breaks open again. You don't trust me, do you? And in that moment, you don't even know the answer. Because the truth is, you stopped trusting anyone a long, long time ago. You wake up in the middle of the night. You don't even know why. There was no noise, no dream, no message, just that gnawing ache in your chest, like something's wrong. You check your phone. They haven't messaged in 4 hours. That's normal. They're asleep. You know that, but your body doesn't care. Your hands shake, your stomach turns, your mind starts creating images you don't want but can't stop. You imagine them with someone else, not just the act, but the details, the words they say, the looks they give, the tenderness they used to show you. You scroll through old conversations, looking for patterns, clues, inconsistencies. You find nothing, but your brain doesn't want nothing. It wants certainty, and certainty doesn't exist anymore. Not for you. So you invent it. You tell yourself, they must be lying, because if they're not, then you are the problem. And that is the one truth you cannot face. You start thinking of ways to test them, to provoke them, to catch them in something, anything. You pick fights over things you don't care about. You accuse them of tones they didn't use, intentions they never had. And they get tired. They grow defensive. They pull away, which only confirms it for you. See, they're hiding something. They start staying silent during your episodes. Not because they agree, but because arguing is pointless. Because everything they say becomes fuel. You pause before answering. You blink too much. You use a different emoji. You didn't say, I love you this morning. You become hypersensitive. Every shift in mood, every glance becomes a crime scene. You interrogate like a detective, but punish like a judge. And the person you love becomes your suspect. They start to change, not because they want to, but because they have to. They start withholding details, not out of betrayal, but self-preservation. They lie, tiny lies, harmless lies, lies to protect you from your own mind. But your mind detects it. It smells fear, and it spins it into a narrative. I knew it. And now you have proof. Not of cheating, not of betrayal, but of deception. And for you, deception is unforgivable. You corner them verbally, emotionally. You say things like, you made me like this. You used to be different. If you just told the truth, I wouldn't be like this. But deep down, you know, you would, because the truth doesn't calm you. It never did. Only control does. And control is never complete. So peace is never permanent. You start imagining what they say to others, what they don't say to you, what they feel when they're away from you. You scroll their photos, zoom in on backgrounds, look for clues anything out of place. You message their friends, you check who liked their posts. You feel that mix of shame and urgency, like an addict hiding a relapse. And even when you find nothing, you feel worse, because now you don't even have something to fight. Now you're alone with your own thoughts, and they are louder than ever. Your partner starts to withdraw, emotionally first, then physically. They smile less, laugh less, speak less. They look at you like a stranger, someone they have to navigate, not love. And one day, they say it, I can't do this anymore. And your world splits in half. You beg, you cry, you make promises. I'll get better. I'll stop. I just need reassurance. And they might give you one last chance because they remember who you were before jealousy turned you into someone else. But the fear is still there. Even in the apology, even in the love, even in the silence, because the collapse already happened. You just didn't feel the floor give way until now. They're gone. You knew it was coming. You watched it unfold in slow motion, like a movie you couldn't pause. But still, when the door finally closes behind them, when their presence evaporates from the walls, from the floor, from the routine, you feel it like an amputation. Sudden, brutal, unbelievable. They're not answering your messages. They haven't blocked you. But the silence feels louder than any argument you ever had. And the silence is permanent now. You sit in the same spot on the couch where they used to sit beside you. You stare at the blank screen of your phone, replaying every moment that led here. Not to understand it, but to feel it again. Because feeling the pain is better than feeling nothing. You don't cry right away. Not like in the movies. At first, it's just emptiness. A dull, cold ache spreading through your chest like fog. Then, hours later, it hits. A single thought, a single flashback, a single smell, memory, photo, and you break. You fall apart, quietly, alone. Not with a scream, but with a whimper, like a child waking from a nightmare, only to realize the nightmare was real. You try to remember the last good day. Not a perfect one, just good, but you can't. Your memory has been rewritten by fear. All you can recall are the interrogations, the doubts, the long silences. You remember watching them flinch when you raise your voice. You remember them hesitating before answering a simple question. You remember the night they turned away in bed, and you took it as proof they didn't love you anymore. And now you're left with a house full of ghosts. Their toothbrush, their scent on the pillow, their Spotify still logged in, their coffee mug untouched in the sink. You tell yourself you'll be okay, that this is just withdrawal, that this is just grief. But deep down, you know it's more than that, because the person you lost wasn't just someone you loved, they were someone who saw you. And now that gaze is gone, and you don't know who you are without it. You try to distract yourself. You go out. You meet friends. You pretend to be fine, but everything feels quiet. Not peaceful quiet, vacuum quiet, Like the world muted itself because it doesn't know what to say to you anymore. People talk. You nod. You smile at the right moments. But inside, you're scanning the room for signs of betrayal that aren't even there because that's what your brain was trained to do, to hunt for danger. And now, without a lover to fear, you fear everything. You stalk their socials every day, multiple times. You look for someone new. You look for coded messages. You analyze their captions like a forensic linguist. Was that line meant for me? Is that photo a response to my last message? It's pathetic. You know it, but knowing doesn't stop you. You write drafts of long apologies, dozens of them. You never send them because what is there to say that isn't already a wound? Sometimes, late at night, you whisper their name in the dark just to hear it again, just to keep them alive in your mouth, like maybe your voice can bring them back. Eventually, something shifts. Not healing, not yet, but clarity. You realize you didn't lose them all at once. You lost them in layers. Every time you doubted, accused, controlled, a part of them drifted further away. And now you're left with pieces of who they were, of who you were, of what you might have had if you hadn't let jealousy rot it from the inside. You remember the moment you first noticed it, the fear, the insecurity, the urge to check, to test, to control. It felt small back then, harmless, but it wasn't. It was the seed of your undoing. And now you live in the garden it grew into. There's no dramatic redemption, no sudden epiphany, just slow, painful reckoning. You start therapy, not because you want to heal, but because the alternative is to destroy every future relationship the same way. You sit in silence, you tell stories, you cry, you say things out loud you've never admitted to yourself. I was afraid they'd leave me, so I made it unbearable for them to stay. I needed them to prove they loved me every second. And you realize pathological jealousy doesn't protect love. It devours it, consumes it, then lies to you, whispering, they left because they never cared. But they did. You just didn't believe it. And that disbelief became your self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't get over them. You just learn to live without the need to own them. And one day, maybe, someone new walks into your life. They smile like the world hasn't broken them yet. They touch your arm gently, ask about your favorite book. They leave their phone on the table, face down, without worry, and you feel it again. The instinct, the fear, the shadow of suspicion. But this time, you don't follow it. You sit with it. You breathe through it. You choose something different. And maybe, just maybe, you finally understand jealousy wasn't love. It was fear, wearing love's mask. And now that the mask is off, you can finally see what love is supposed to look like. And it does not look like control. It looks like trust. And you never trusted them because you never trusted yourself.